In episode 5, when Morpheus returns to his kingdom, Lucienne asks him, "Did you find your brother?" And he tells her, "I have no desire to find my brother, but I do think that there are forces that were working against me. So if you can make some inquiries and find out who they were, because I'm really interested in that." She goes to leave, but before she does, he asks him, "Do you have anything you want to add?" And she says, "Yeah, honestly, I liked your brother. I mean, I only met him a few times, but I respected him. And I think it would do you a world of good if you went and found him and asked him why exactly he left." But Morpheus knows why he left. It's because he cared too much, cared for humanity too much. A prime example of this is when they met in 1675, and this is just after Isaac Newton had some breakthrough that is way too intelligent for me to understand, but Destruction was worried about the path that man was headed. He wanted Dream to step in. He wanted to step in, but Dream didn't care. And Destruction was kind of disgusted by the fact that Dream didn't care. After telling the story, Morpheus asks if he loved humanity, why did he abandon him? And Lucienne tells him because he didn't want blood on his hands. While there's no shame in doing one's duties, there is if you destroy the ones that you love. And this seems to be an aha moment for Dream. He heads back to the waking world for Wanda's funeral. He contacted Wanda's aunt because he wanted something that Wanda was really fond of. It's a first edition book, The Marvelous Land of Oz. But the more he talks to the aunt, the more he gets upset because the aunt continues to call Wanda Alvin, which is the name that they were born with. Dream kind of lets that go when the aunt continues to say things like nephew and Alvin, but he gets super upset when he finds out that they put Wanda in a suit, dressing her like a man. And he asks her, "Why would you do that?" And the aunt's response is, "You got to remember, this is for them. This is for the family. They're grieving. So this kind of takes it away." And for Dream, he can't understand how the family, still, with Wanda dead, can't just accept her for who she was. When he goes to the gravestone, it's much of the same. It doesn't say Wanda, it says Alvin. And when he's joined by his sister Death, he asks her, "I need a favor. I need you to bring Wanda back because she shouldn't be dead. This is my fault." Death, though, reminds him, "I can't bring them back once they're gone." And then Dream walks over and fixes the gravestone to accurately portray Wanda's name. At this moment, Morpheus feels really guilty for what he did. He wants to make things right, but Death reminds him you can't do that once they're gone. It's best to try to make things right with the people that are still here. And the person she's referring to is Delirium. She tells Dream to just go to Delirium's realm and show up and be a big brother for once. And then she opens that realm up and encourages him to go through it, which he eventually does. Once he does, Death ends up meeting up with Wanda. And as they sit and they talk about the family's decision to basically rewrite her to be a man, it seems like Wanda is in a good place and is comfortable with the fact that she is dead. As for Dream, he goes to Delirium's kingdom and he is on a subway train of debauchery. I mean, like eyes wide shut, 50 Shades of Grey stuff. We don't kink shame, but things are getting down. Eventually, he does end up finding his sister. It takes getting off that subway train where he finds her in a park next to a sundial, and he apologizes. He admits that if any of them had done to him what he did to her, he would never forgive them. And because of the fact that he made a promise to her to help her find their brother, he's going to fulfill that promise. The apology from Dream completely changes Delirium's entire mood. But Morpheus makes it clear, we are going to do this together. This is a family matter. We're not going to involve any other mortals. We're not going to harm any other people. And she wonders how exactly they're going to do that because you already had Desire and Despair say they're not helping. And that really only leaves one other family member, and that is Destiny. Now, they don't expect Destiny to help, but as Dream puts it, sometimes the things that Destiny doesn't tell you actually says more than what he does tell you. So they head to Destiny's realm. And of course, because he's Destiny, he knew that they were coming and he was expecting this. At first, he says, "No, yeah, I'll help you. Here's some help. Abandon this quest. Go back to your realms. Live your life. Respect his wishes. He doesn't want to be found." Upon hearing this, Delirium gets really upset. She walks away, and it allows Dream and Destiny to talk it out, where Dream explains his reasoning for continuing the quest and then asks, "Will you help us find him?" Destiny tells Dream that it's safer for him not to ask that question, Because if he answers it, a new path opens up in the garden, then he has to deal with it. He doesn't want to do that. But Morpheus once again says, will you tell us where to find him? And after some pondering, he says, if you wish to find our brother, you're going to need an oracle. Dream, however, knows that there's no oracle that talks about their family, but Destiny reminds him, no, there is an oracle in the family. You're forgetting them. And that's when it clicks with Dream. Yeah, there is an oracle. It's his son. For Dream, he feels like all of this, the fates, nada, destruction, they've all been leading to this moment, his son. And the reason why that's such a big deal is because he has not seen his son in over 3,700 years. His son, Orpheus, was married, albeit for about an hour, to the love of his life. And Dream attended the wedding, as did all the brothers and sisters. They were having a good time until Orpheus and his wife, Eurydice, went out to the fields, and Eurydice got bit by a snake and died. For Orpheus, he couldn't take this. He had a meltdown. He needed to get the love of his life back by any means necessary. And even though Dream told him, dude, you gotta move on, he wasn't willing to do that. Orpheus knew that his wife was still alive in the underworld. And he asked his dad, go to King Hades and Queen Persephone and plead my case to get my wife back. But Dream didn't want to do that because he knew that they would demand Orpheus's life for hers. And for Orpheus, he was willing to do that. But Dream wasn't willing to make that trade. Orpheus looked at his father and said, if I am your son, then you will do this for me. I mean, I've never asked you for anything. Will you do this for me? But Dream told him, no, I won't. And a very emotional Orpheus said, well, then if you're not going to do this for me, then I'm no longer your son. And he went to go find another way to Hades. He found it when he was about to unalive himself, and he was stopped by Destruction. Destruction told him, go talk to Death about it. I mean, she's your aunt. And that's exactly what Orpheus did. And this request by Orpheus to Death was very unconventional. And that's because people don't go to the underworld without dying first. Orpheus, though, continues to push. And Death tells him, okay, you can go to the underworld and you can even come back, but if you do, you can never die. And trust me, it may sound like a gift, but it's not. But that's all Orpheus needed to hear, is the fact that there was a chance that he could get his wife back. He even went so far as to look Death in the eye and tell her, yes, this is what I really want. So at that, Death obliged. She opens up the stairway to the underworld and he heads down. And when he finally does get an audience with the king and the queen after talking to the fates, he pleads that case. He assures them that he will do whatever it takes to get his wife back. And what he wants to do is prove to them that their love is real. So King Hades says, okay, yeah, you can do that. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a pathway out of this realm. You're going to follow it. And she will be right behind you. But you can never look back. You can't acknowledge her. Not until the sun hits both of you guys will you be able to be reunited. And a very excited Orpheus says, okay, great. And he starts to head down that path, and he sees the light at the end of the tunnel. But then he hears his wife call his name, and he has to turn around. And once he does, his wife is gone forever. A very dejected Orpheus finds himself on the beach without his wife and his mother by his side. His mother, Calliope, lets him know that she has left his father. It's been a long time coming. She thought she could change Dream, and she couldn't. And the final straw was the fact that Dream wasn't willing to go on their son's behalf. She then, however, lets him know that the cult of Dionysus, a.k.a. the Sisters of Frenzy, they're coming for him. And he really should leave that place, but he doesn't fear them. He feels like it's an old wives' tale, and he's not worried about it. And she lets him know, you really should be. And he tells his mom, well, then I want them to find me because I must be with my wife. Don't you see? The Sisters of the Frenzy, they're my only hope. Calliope doesn't want to let her son do this, but he says, you left my father because he wouldn't help me. And now you're doing the exact same thing. You're not helping me. So she lets her son go. And that night in the forest, he's attacked and he is beheaded by the Sisters of the Frenzy. And his head lands back on that beach. But because of the fact that he can't die, he's literally just a head that can't die. And it's his dad who finds him first. Dream tells his bodiless son that He visited certain priests on the island in their dreams to let them know that the head was there. They will show up and they will take care of it. But as far as Dream is concerned, this is the last time he will ever see his son. Because once his son had said what he said, aka, I am not your son, well, Dream took that really personal. So he's going to make Orpheus own that. And even though Orpheus, who is just ahead at this point, is begging for forgiveness and begging for help, Dream tells him, no, I'm not helping you out. And that is the last time that Dream has seen his son. He doesn't even have an update on what's going on with the son. So his Dream just sits in Destiny's garden, thinking and reliving those moments 3,700 years ago. His sister comes up to him and says, are you all right? Because she is concerned. He doesn't really answer, and she says, well, what did Destiny tell you? And he says, he told me what I must know to continue the journey. Destiny then walks over and reminds both of them that those that seek destruction usually find it. And then Dream says goodbye to Destiny, Destiny says goodbye to Dream, and Dream and Delirium head out. And Delirium doesn't really know where they're going, and he says, we're going to find an oracle. We're going to find my son. And that was something that Delirium was not expecting at all. That wasn't on her bingo card.
Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry. It'll be up in a day or two.